I'm gonna tell you how to spot a junker in just 5 minutes. That's right. 5 minutes is all it really should take to know if the house that you're touring is a solid investment or a ticking time bomb. Think of it like dating. You don't need a 3-hour dinner to tell if the person in front of you is a good match. You guys know I'm right. Within the first few minutes, you can tell if there's potential or if you should run for the exit. Well, it's the same for houses. That freshly painted exterior and the neatly trimmed yard, it could be hiding cracks and leaks and foundation issues that will drain your wallet faster than a bad relationship. And stay tuned to the end, because the tip I'm going to share with you guys is something a lot of buyers completely miss, and it could save you thousands. So let's dive right in. Okay, let's start with the neighborhood and curb appeal, because this is your first line of defense to spot a potential junker. So take 30 seconds and just look around before you even get out of the car. Do the neighboring homes look like they've been taken care of? Are the lawns trimmed? Are the trash cans put away? Is there any pride of ownership? If you're seeing peeling paint, busted mailboxes, lawns that look like a jungle, this is a red flag. Because here's the deal. You're not just buying the house, you're buying into the community. And if that block shows signs of long-term neglect, you could be walking into more than just cosmetic issues. You're walking into long-term value problems and poor resale potential. Okay, now let's shift your attention to the home itself. I like to use the 30-foot rule. Take a step back and get the full picture. From the curb, what does this place say to you? Are there cracks in the driveway? Here in Maryland, where I am, we get freezing winters and really wet springs. So water seeps into even the smallest cracks. Then it freezes, expands, and suddenly that driveway is buckling, splitting, and may need to be repaired or repaved, which can be costly. But the real sleeper issue here is the gutters. Most buyers don't even think to look at them. But let me tell you, clogged or broken gutters are one of the leading causes of water that gets into the basement. Gutters are supposed to collect water from your roof and guide it away from the foundation. Instead of being routed out and away, it pours straight down the sides of your house. That water then seeps into the soil, collects around your foundation, and eventually it'll find a way in. I've seen homes with beautifully finished basements, new carpet, drywall, even recessed lighting. And then you look outside and the gutters, they're completely clogged. One heavy rain later and that basement, it becomes like a sponge. And the damage isn't just to flooring and furniture. Moisture in the basement can lead to mold, compromised air quality, and foundation damage, which can cost you thousands to fix. So if you're walking outside around the home and you see that the gutters are full, sagging, or disconnected from downspouts, that can be a red flag. It may look like a small maintenance issue, but it does tell you a lot. First, it means the owner hasn't been keeping up with just routine maintenance. Second, and more importantly, it means you need to look inside for water intrusion, because it could very likely be there. All right, now that you've scoped out the surroundings and spotted some early warning signs, now it's time to look up. Literally. Let's talk about the roof. And what you see up there can tell you a lot about what's happening underneath. The roof is one of the most expensive systems to replace, and also one of the most ignored by the buyers. So just look up. See, is there any discoloration, sagging parts, or moss on top of the roof? Here in Maryland, where we get snow, rain, and lots of humidity, moisture builds up fast. Moss on a roof, it's not character, it's moisture, and moisture leads to rot. Now, remember those gutters that we just spoke about? Well, we're not done with them yet, because they're connected to how the roof sheds water. If the roof doesn't drain properly because the gutters are clogged or detached, then the water backs up. That can lead to ice damming in the winter, where melting snow refreezes at the edge of the roof and causes water to back up under the shingles and into the attic. Now, shift your focus to the foundation. Here's a quick rule of thumb. Vertical cracks, often normal. Concrete settles over time. Horizontal or diagonal crack, these can indicate movement, water pressure pushing up against a wall, or structural shifting, which could be a red flag. One house I visited here in Gaithersburg had a gorgeous kitchen remodel. Chef's kiss. But walk outside and there were big diagonal cracks on the back foundation wall. It turned out that the backyard sloped towards the house, and for years water had been pooling there. The pressure eventually shifted the wall inward by several inches. Foundation contractor's estimate, $28,000. Deal breaker. And here's a quick tip. Look near the corners of the home and by the garage slab. These areas tend to show early signs of foundation stress. You might notice gaps between the steps in the house or uneven concrete slabs where there shouldn't be any drop. That can be movement. And where there's movement, you need to stop and ask why. So just by walking around the outside, looking up at the roof, checking the gutter system, examining the foundation, you can tell a lot how the home has been cared for and whether you're buying into some long-term problems. So here's a quick reminder, it's really important. I am not a home inspector and I'm not trying to replace one. In fact, I would never, ever recommend that you skip a home inspection by a professional licensed home inspector. I'm just trying to give you the tools so you can spot the issues, so you know what questions to ask, what to investigate further, and when to walk away. Now let's talk about windows and doors. Start with the glass. If you see fog, like a foggy window, or condensation trapped between the panes, that's called a broken seal in a double pane window. It's probably one of the most common things that you will see in older homes. But here's the good news. It's not the end of the world. A broken seal doesn't mean the window isn't effective. It's just mostly a cosmetic issue. You might get a slight drop in insulation performance, but it's usually not a huge energy concern, especially if the rest of the window is in good condition. But here's why it matters. Reseal appeal drops if every window looks cloudy. And once a seal is broken, even if it's a small cloudy part of it, it will get worse over time. And replacing windows, they're not cheap, especially if they're custom. Now, it can be a sign of age or moisture exposure, which could point to broader maintenance habits or lack of them. So next, check the frames, especially if they're wood. Maryland's humidity and rain, it's really rough on wood. If it's soft or cracked or swollen, there may be a sign of water intrusion. Now, try a few doors. Exterior doors should open and close easily. If they stick or drag or don't latch properly, the house might be settling or shifting. I once showed a place in Bethesda where the back door, it wouldn't shut unless you lifted it and slammed it. Gorgeous remodel, but the back corner had dropped several inches from foundation movement. That's not just a door issue, it's structure. Oh, also, look for light coming in around the edges of doors and windows. That's a sign of air leaks or poor alignment, but they can tell you a lot about the overall build quality and maintenance. Okay, now you're gonna step inside, and this is big. I want you to use your senses. Start with smell. If it smells like somebody emptied a can of Febreze in every room, that is not just a fresh scent. It's likely covering something up. On the flip side, if you get a musty, damp, moldy odor, that is a really big red flag. That smell almost always points to moisture. And in Maryland, where basements are common and humidity is high, look at my hair, moisture turns into mold fast. And don't ignore cigarette smoke and pet odors. Those smells, they seep into walls, flooring, and HVAC systems. Getting rid of them takes more than just air freshener. By the way, I hate air freshener. It takes a lot of money. If the place smells off, it probably is. Trust your nose. Okay, next, look up. Ceilings, they don't lie. I want you to look for water stains or discoloration, sagging drywall, cracks around the corners or light fixtures, and bubbling paint or texture. Even small stains are signs that water was, or still is, getting in. I've seen homes where the seller said, "Oh, that was from an old leak. We fixed it." Okay. But is it still leaking now? Don't assume a patch equals a fix. Ask when the issue happened, what caused it, and was it fixed by a professional? You'd be surprised how many times that conversation leads to nowhere or gives you a good reason to walk. Oh, here's a bonus tip. Look at the ceilings in the closets. Sellers often forget to paint over the stains that are in there. It's like a cheat sheet for spotting issues that they thought they hid. Now, I want you to walk the house. Don't just stroll. I want you to listen and feel. Creaking floors are fine in older homes. They're common. But what I want you to look out for is this: soft spots, really uneven areas, bouncy or spongy feel underfoot, dips or slopes in hallways or near corners. A soft spot often means water damage or rot, sometimes from underneath. Oh, also check near entry points and under windows where water intrusion is most likely. If you're stepping on carpet and it feels kind of damp or cool to the touch in the corners, that could be a red flag for water infiltration, especially if it hasn't rained recently. All right, now that you've looked inside and outside, it's time to check the guts of the house: electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. The three systems that make the house livable and, more importantly, safe. Remember, we are not inspectors. This is just a quick check. If you can access the electric panel, just take a quick look. You don't need any tools, just open the door for a quick visual check. Here's what you're looking for: rust or corrosion around the box, missing knockouts or open slots, wires doubled up under one breaker, it's called double tapping, outdated brands like Zinsco or Federal Pacific, these are known fire hazards. Also, just check to see if the breakers are labeled. If it's a bunch of unlabeled switches and mystery circuits, that's a sign of sloppy maintenance. Now again, this isn't about diagnosing a system. I am not an inspector. But if the panel does look sketchy, that is your signal to bring in someone who is. Okay, now the heating and cooling system is one of the most expensive equipment pieces of the house, and often one of the most neglected. So here's what I want you to do. Step outside and look at the condenser unit, the AC unit. Is it rusted, dented, making a loud humming or rattling sound? Check the date on it to see how old it is. When you're inside, listen for the system when it kicks on. Is it loud? Does it take a long time to respond? If the seller says, oh, the heat works fine when it's 85 degrees outside, ask for service records. As far as plumbing, this is the easy part. Just test the water. Turn on a faucet, let it run for 30 seconds. Then flush the toilet. Listen for gurgling or sputtering or banging pipes. All these are signs that something is wrong. Pay attention to water pressure. If it's weak or inconsistent, that could mean a buildup or corroded pipes. Drainage speed. Slow drains can mean partial clogs or issues in the main line. Odors under the sink. That's where you're gonna catch mildew and leaks. Also, take a quick peek under the sinks for signs of mold, warping, or past leaks. Some sellers try to paint over it, but warped particle board or a strong mildew smell, it is really tough to hide. The bottom line, these three systems, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing, well, they're big ticket items. Just take 5 minutes to check the basics. If something looks off or smells wrong or sounds like it's working too hard, it probably is. Now for the tip that most buyers don't think about, and the one that can cost you more than anything that we've covered so far. Check the flood risk, always. This is one of those hidden deal breakers, especially here in Maryland, where flash flooding isn't just a coastal or a river issue. Places like Ellicott City, College Park, even Silver Spring have had serious flood events over the last decade, even in areas that never used to be on the radar. So don't be afraid to ask specific questions. Has the basement ever taken on any water? Look at the lot grading. Does the yard slope towards the house? Check the downspouts drain. If they end at the foundation, well, that's a problem. And if you are concerned, check the FEMA flood map. So there you have it. In just 5 minutes, you can spot the red flags that separate a solid investment from a serious mistake. You don't need to know how to fix everything. But if you know where to look, you can save yourself some time and money and a lot of regrets. So to recap, check the roof, the gutters, and the foundation. Use your senses inside. Smell, sound, and feel. Take a peek at the big systems, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. And don't forget, you are not an inspector. And even knowing all of this, it does not replace the value of a true home inspection. Because no matter what the house looks like on the surface, it's what's happening underneath, behind the wall, and beneath your feet that really matters. So if you are in the market and you want someone that's gonna look out for your bottom line and not just push a deal through, I'm happy to help. Just send me an email, we'll set up a Zoom or we'll set up a call and we'll get you started. And if this video saved you a headache or gave you some value or maybe helped out a friend, do me a favor and hit the like button, maybe drop me a comment and subscribe to the channel. It just helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and quite honestly, it motivates me to make more videos. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!